largest humanitarian crisis in history. More than 2 million refugees have fled Ukraine, and that number keeps growing. Rob Finnerty has more on this. Rob?
All right. Sir, may I have you with this?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Can I just get you to move slightly to your left, please? This humanitarian crisis. Let's look at these maps here. Poland of Ukraine is seeing the highest numbers of refugees, over 1.2 million right now. We expect that number to continue to go up. This country, Ukraine, that's great. Can I just get you to tilt down on your device just a little bit for me?
Absolutely.
2 million refugees are fleeing to Poland. It's a NATO country. So is Romania to the south. All of the NATO countries that border Ukraine are seeing massive numbers of refugees, and that's really the other part of this story. And with this next map here, I just want to give you an idea how difficult it is to get out of a country like Ukraine. All of these smaller red lines indicate major roads or highways. Now, the reason that people that are in Mariupol, which is miles from Lviv and the Polish border, can't get there, and Kyiv, which is almost 500 miles from the Polish border, is because they don't have an interstate highway system like we have here in the U.S. After World War II, General Eisenhower implemented that in case we had to go back into a world war. He wanted aircraft to be able to land all over the country. That's why we have system. They don't have that in Ukraine. So imagine a war zone with no highway. It is really tough to get out of these cities. So a lot of people are going to the closest city near them where there might be a train station so they can try and make their way to a friendly. The situation is also not going well for Vladimir Putin in Russia. If you take a look at our next map, this is how many arrests have been made in Russia that we know about. And these circles indicate where protests, anti-war protests, have sprung up across Russia over the last 15 days. Pretty unbelievable. All right, for more, we want to welcome in retired Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Holt and Pennsylvania State Senator and retired U.S. Army Colonel Doug Mastriano joining us this morning on Wake Up America. It is great to have you both on. General Holt, my question for you is a simple one. We keep hearing about a possible ceasefire and possible peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. Right now on the table would be recognizing the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. It would be formally recognizing Crimea in the south as Russian territory, and then a complete ceasefire of all Ukrainian military activity in the country. If that is on the table, why isn't that leading every newscast around the world right now?
It's stunning. There's no reason for that. This is an absolute diplomatic overture made by President Zelensky as he watches his people be slaughtered. The mayor now of Mariupol is saying they've got over 4,000 dead in Mariupol. And that number is going to climb dramatically as famine starts to take over because they can't get anything. But what we've done in the West, besides the leadership issues we clearly see, is we're not doing things to strengthen Zelensky's hand at the bargaining table. So the fumbling of this jet issue, lethargy on the logistics side, and then the dialogue has just been horrible. So Russia has incentives to get off of this stage here, but we would do well to push Zelensky a stronger hand to play in getting this done.
Yeah, you would think. The Pentagon slammed the door on Poland's proposal for providing Ukraine with fighter jets. Take a listen to what Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby had to say about that.
The transfer of MiG-29s to Ukraine may be mistaken as escalatory and could result in a significant Russian reaction that might increase the prospects of a military escalation with NATO. Therefore, we also assess the transfer of the MiG-29s to Ukraine to be high risk.
Senator, I want to get your thoughts on that about his reasoning.
Yeah, Admiral Kirby, when he was active duty, he was there in 2014 when the whole debacle with Crimea happened. He should go back to his family business and sell vacuum cleaners. What weakness? The whole thing is a catastrophe. The idea of sending Senator Harris over to Munich before this thing blew up, to Munich of all places, where in 1938 the Allies conceded to Hitler and resulted in the end in World War II. We need to take decisive action. Now, look, I'm not for intervening in this conflict. I am supportive of what's happening, of course, with our allies and sending American troops forward with that. But we can provide, and we should provide, lethal defensive aid to the Ukrainian army, such as anti-tank missiles and anti-air missiles. There's a lot of talk about it, but we don't know if they're actually arriving by now.
Yeah, That's a good point. General Holt, Russia claimed the U.S. is funding biological weapon research in Ukraine. This was one of the big headlines yesterday. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki tweeted out that we should all be on the lookout for Russia to possibly use chemical or biological weapons in Ukraine to create a false flag operation using them. What do you make of that? Is there any truth to that accusation?
Well, we've seen a lot of alternative press out there about these biological labs, and we've all been kind of tracking on it. But it's been in the realm of not really hitting the main sources of news, and we've just wondered about it. All that just fell apart when Victoria Nuland, in front of Congress with Senator Rubio, acknowledged the existence of bio research that had to be secured if the Russians were going to take it over. So let's just wash away any conspiracy theories that Press Secretary Psaki said, "Oh, that's a conspiracy. That's just nonsense." And then the Russians came out with their own statement making similar assertions, which we're going to have to engage on and find out where our communications are on that issue. This is serious. So we need to now take that serious. And again, you brought it up in a previous segment. Where are we conflicted with our leadership and their business dealings in Ukraine that would prevent us from being honest with ourselves?
Bring up a very good point. Senator, the Chernobyl nuclear site lost power yesterday. Sources, they claim that combat prevented repairs. Do you think Russia really wants to mess with Chernobyl? We saw them go after at least 2 nuclear plants. What do you think?
Well, yeah, General Blaine knows, I'm a graduate of the School of Advanced Air Power Studies, and the Russians have not pulled off all the gloves yet here. If this is a full blown out war with them, they would remove the power grid. They would have shut the country down completely. I think it might go that way because the Russians, I'm surprised and pleased that the Ukrainian army is holding up so well, but it's only a matter of time before they're overwhelmed by the 150,000, 200,000 Russian troops coming across the border. We predicted this in a war college study that I led back in 2017 called Project 1721. Don't buy it, Google it, get it for free. In this, we have to have resolve on our side here. Now, an idea of a no-fly zone of Ukraine is a terrible idea because that will lead to a war between us and the Russians. We're not down with that, but we can arm and equip and support the Ukrainians to hold the line.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Doug Mastriano. We appreciate you being with us. General Holt, we'll see you again at the top of the hour. We appreciate it. Alex?
Thanks, Rob. Now we're going to take a quick look at today's business headlines. And for a little help with that, let's bring...
Okie dokie. I have a bad setup here. I got the link belatedly. Whoa, that's bright on this side here for the show and didn't have a time to really get set up. I don't know where the disconnect was, but we made it. I had my doubts for a while. Hope everyone's doing well. I thought I'd be talking more, though. I was surprised I was on with Blaine Holt. I thought I'd be on talking more about my proposal that's been in existence for 8 months. I think it was in August of last year. I introduced legislation to suspend the state gas tax. And politics and politicians, we had a chance that gas prices had rose up until before this crisis, up $1.40 before this crisis. And anyway, instead of that bill being run in a timely fashion, it's sitting there. And now we have, a politician not playing games with it. Additionally, Governor Wolf, he has power over our state budget and taxes. He could suspend somebody, any constitutionalists out there, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But he can suspend the gas tax, suspend it. He can't end it. That takes legislation because that's a law. But he can suspend the gas tax for a time, and that the total gas tax is about 50 cents. I don't think we could immediately scrub the whole thing. I would if I could, but I think suspending a good chunk of that would save us a lot of money and help the people. We have these people in Harrisburg who say they're for you, but when they have a chance to do something, they don't do anything. Governor Wolf, instead of suspending the state tax, he's asking Joe Biden to suspend the federal gas tax. Okay, that's nice, but what a waste of time. You have the power in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf, to get rid of that gas tax, to suspend it. What's the so what? It would be an immediate savings to you going to the gas station. Most people in the state cannot afford to fuel their cars now. We're at $4+ a gallon. We'll be at $5 here. I'm predicting it probably in a week or so at the rate things are going. I have no insider knowledge, but looking at putting on my intelligence hat, my assessment hat, and folks can't afford it. Can't afford the gas. Thank God it's a mild winter, so there's not a huge crunch. But still, energy prices. Thank you, Washington D.C. and Harrisburg, for expensive energy prices. Here's the problem that I have. That's nice. Governor Wolf is asking Joe Biden to suspend the federal tax. But if he really cared about what's going on in our state, Governor Wolf could suspend the state gas tax, one of the highest gas taxes in the nation. When that came into fruition in 2015, under a Republican administration, by the way, so let's not blame that on Tom Wolf. It's 2015, and we were told, I was still in the Army. I had no vote on that, no say on this thing. I was a colonel in the Army at the time, and no dreams of being a senator. It's great to see you guys. I'm so appreciative of you guys. We were told, pass this bill, and our roads and bridges, they're in bad shape, and this will give us some money to fix the roads and bridges. Well, how's that going for us? Once again, empty promises. So if you go to the gas pump and you have a pickup truck and you fill up your truck, you're looking at about $100 to fill up your truck. I know because I came in behind a guy a few weeks ago, and it's going to cost you about $100. $20 of that 100. So it's only $80, but you're paying $20 in taxes. $13 of that goes to Harrisburg and $7 to Washington D.C. You see this disparity? Yes, there's a federal gas tax, but it's about 25 cents or so, and the state gas tax is 50 cents. Why would Governor Wolf go to Joe Biden for a tax that's half of what our state gas tax is? And as I said to you already, I think it was in August of last year that I introduced legislation to suspend the gas tax. Way back then, This is not a hard job. I could see where we were headed with energy prices. I wanted that reduced before the winter came in so that we could have the people save a little bit of money. But instead, we have games and politics and dithering and status quo. I'm having trouble finding the words or phrases that match the frustration that I see. We spend time in session, and mostly it's bills that are symbolic, naming bridges after heroes, and that's fine. We should do that, but we should also do things to help the people of our state instead of dithering and talking. Sometimes there's been weeks and I'm like, why do we have session this week? We did nothing to help the people of Pennsylvania. We did nothing to make Pennsylvania better. And I have a stack of bills, sitting there, just sitting there. Most of them are waiting to be voted on in their various committees. So I introduce a bill, colleagues sign on if they like it, and then it's referred to committee, and then most times the bills just sit and they're not run through committee. And these are some good pieces of legislation. One of our friends last night at the event we had out east, listed about 10 of the various bills. We have a lot of good stuff to help you. It's not symbolic. So yes, no dithering, Jessica. It's very aggravating, though. And then we actually have some that have moved through committee, but Senate leadership's not running them off the floor. The most watched, look, it's so tone deaf. I just can't believe it. The most watched bill in the Senate of last year and this year so far is Senate Bill 471. That's my medical freedom bill. You would think if people cared about what the people, if those elected officials cared about what the people wanted to happen, that they would say, hey, this bill is overwhelmingly popular with the people of Pennsylvania. Let's run it. But no, it was run through committee. Michelle Brooks ran it through committee. Thank God for Michelle Brooks, Senator Brooks out of Mercer County. But it was skipped and passed over on the floor of the Senate numerous times, and now it's off the table. It was there for about a month on our calendar, and then it was removed. And that's a decision by Senate leadership. And so that's the problem I have. It's time that we actually work for the people and do the job. And so these games by politics and politicians, now there's a copycat version of my bill, and because somebody has political aspirations and are playing games, just run the stupid thing. Stop playing games. It's, you know, and that's good. That just, okay. So you have mine, it's ready to go. The law is written, the lawyers crafted it. That takes time. That takes, you know, sometimes several weeks. So now we have a guy who wants to play games and do his version of the bill. That, okay, whatever. But that's going to add a few more weeks to this whole process here. Why didn't we run this stupid thing last year? The bill's still there. It's still alive. It's sitting in the transportation committee, and it hasn't been run. And I don't know. I just don't know why it's so hard to serve the people. You know, it's pretty clear to identify things, and waiting for permission, you know, from leadership to run a bill through committees, that's weakness. That's dithering. So I hope that makes sense. Just all the games. Work for the people, do what's right for the people, leave our state a little bit better than how we got it. And I don't see that. And it's very aggravating. I was spent my life in the United States Army. And if you did not deliver results, you were gone. You were not promoted. You were gone. You're done. If you're not doing your job and not just doing your job, but doing it well and leaving your unit or organization or your position better, you're gone. If you're not a master of your trade within about 100 days, you know, wherever you're assigned, we're constantly assigned to different jobs, you're done. There was no tolerance for mediocrity. And what I see in Harrisburg is quite a bit of mediocrity, and it's celebrated. Don't rock the boat, status quo, very minimalist approach. There's a lot of good bills out there from my colleagues as well that aren't run. It's just not me. It's the norm though. So yes. Patricia, I hope that made sense. I think it does. You said unbelievable. Yep. Jenna as well. Yeah, Jenna, my politics is ugly, but it shouldn't be this painful. Yeah, and that's right. Property tax reform. They've been talking about property tax reform since 2004. Is that 18 years later, you still don't have it? When they had a vote, many people in the Senate said they're supporting it. They changed their minds. I don't know. Anyway. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Yeah, Patrick is right, because you'll be relieved from command or get a 15-6 investigation airborne. It's true. If you don't do your job well, deliver results, you're done. You're gone. They'll find someone else to do the job. But, you know, in politics, it's just status quo. Only act when you have to. Very frustrating. I think it's important that you hear this. Well, Marilyn, I really don't. So I start going down a list of names here. If it was useful and helpful, I think that'd be fantastic. But Brian, well, yeah, you know, voters, we do have to choose wisely. Brian B is right, because these folks are elected, and if constituents don't like the job they're doing, they can be fired at the poll. Cassandra, most taxes, including the gas tax, are essentially theft. It sure does feel like that. Margie R. Army kids can attest to that. Yes, Philip is right. In 2004, we were told we did not have gambling in Pennsylvania until 2004. And Ed Rendell, Governor Rendell, and many other people, like, you know, hey, all this money's going to Jersey, and we just opened up some casinos in Pennsylvania. We could use that money to pay off property taxes, and the elderly won't be struggling anymore to keep up with that. How's that going for us? Gas tax, just bring 2015, a decade later, bring the gas tax in, one tax. It'll fix our roads and bridges. It'll be fantastic. Just, we promise. Driving across the state last night, there's some roads out east that were just so awful. Potholes everywhere. It was like, I hope there's not a big one I'm going to fall into. Anyway, very aggravating. Susan says if we can't get the state fixed, they're leaving. A lot of people feel that way. Bruce says 2 words to keep sanity, but God. Oh man, Jackie Ann, it was great to see you last night. Always happy to see you. I'm not giving up. Just kind of venting right now. Venting in a way where I think it's useful where you know what's going on here, so that's nice. So we're gonna wait until we're desperate before we run legislation. It kind of reminds me of the reopening bills. I had a bill to reopen the state. I don't know, early on April. I don't remember. You could look it up if you care. And we didn't take any action on that till June. After, if you think about that, all of March you're shut down. All of April, you're shut down. All of May, you're shut down. Why did it take us until June when the people's backs are being broken? I was actually told by one leader, we have to do something. What are you waiting for? The people are suffering. Their backs are being broken. And I was told by this individual who's been in politics, who is in politics for many years, he said, I don't care. What? The people that hired us, that we're supposed to serve? Anyway, well, I'll have to go here. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in. Micah, yeah, sorry I missed you. Rebby and we probably talked about everybody in that room except about 20 people of the 110 or so that were there. 120. Yeah, Paulette, she's had to sell her land. It's just hard to keep up. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. It is, just do your job, right? Just like anyone that's tuning in here, do your job, do it well. Yeah, I'm looking for more than just doing your job, though. We have a sacred calling. We take an oath to uphold the Pennsylvania and U.S. Constitution as elected officials. That's very serious for most of us. Well, guys, I'm going to take off. Just checking both platforms. I hope you have a good day. I do have another news hit today, but I think it's not going to be broadcasted until Saturday. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you have a good day. Hope everyone's okay out there with the weather.